Right, let's move it on, guys, and let's talk about the goalkeeper and a potential new goalkeeper coming into Manchester United. Will it happen? Will it not happen? I think ultimately it's going to come down to sales and maybe the latter stages of the transfer window. But we do have some updates on Donnarumma. Fabrizio Romano has said today that Donnarumma will leave PSG for sure, most likely this or eventually next summer. The relationship is completely broken after the club decide to exclude him from the squad for the Super Cup. Understand that Premier League is the most likely destination. Then we've got Arthur Perret. I'm not too sure. Again, pinch of salt with this guy. He seems to be a French journalist for L'Equipe. He says that Chelsea and Manchester United have inquired about Donnarumma. The two clubs have expressed interest in recent days, but at the moment there aren't any concrete discussions as no formal talks have begun. And look, I'm not surprised that no formal talks have begun, to be quite honest with you, because especially on United standpoint, we need sales. You know what I mean? But Laurie Whitwell has given an update on Talk of the Devils also. He says it's clearly something that United are aware of. If it actually then progresses to anything substantial, I don't know. I'm more hesitant on that. I think the focus is sales and seeing if anything can happen with Baleba rather than the goalkeeper. I said this all the way back before probably the transfer window even opened. I said the goalkeeper will be one of the lowest priority areas to fix for Manchester United, because I just didn't see it as, not that it was perfect and not that it was, that it shouldn't be upgraded, but if you're putting it on the level of importance, I think it's right down at the end. I really, really do. I think, look, Andre Onana had a hot and cold season last year, and that's probably putting it kindly. But ultimately, in the league, I think 5 mistakes or 6 mistakes leading to goals, it's not an awful lot. The issue was getting goals into the team, bulking up the team, and then, of course, midfield and defence, or whatever the case may be. I just didn't think it was going to be high on the priority list. And according to Laurie Whitwell here, again, it seems like if we do bring in a goalkeeper, it will be the last position that we go for. Because obviously Baleba is next. Baleba is next, and United are going to work hard on getting a number 6 in, or a midfielder, 6, 8, whatever you want to call it. And then if that can get done, then we look at a goalkeeper. Now, if by this time next week we get 50 million for Garnacho, 20 million for Sancho, 30 million for Anthony, and, a Mars bar for fucking Malacia, then, okay, doors open. Let's go. We've got the money. Let's go. And then you could start moving for. But I think it's got to be this. It's got to be this one deal at a time scenario, because we need to get sales done on the flip side of that. So I think that's why. But like I said, I mean, if all of a sudden an influx of cash comes in, absolutely we could see moving for Donnarumma. Now look, supposedly you could get Donnarumma for less than 30 million euros, which is absolute pennies for a goalkeeper of his quality. The issue remains, and the big issue that would be the case here is, of course, what his salary would be. If we look at his salary at PSG, he's on 250,000 a week, is he? Yeah, he's on about 250 grand a week at PSG. Now, we've seen Sesko come in, and we know that a striker was such a high priority for Manchester United that a lot of the pulling power would be on the player side, especially with the striker, and because it was going to be a striker market, they could nearly demand what they want. And we've got Sesko on 160 grand a week. That's very, very good money. It's very, very good money. Now, if we could get Donnarumma for 25 million and give him 200 grand a week, I think it would be money well spent. I genuinely do. And I was watching the the fan debate there on Gary Neville's yoke, and Carragher and Scholes were talking about needing a goalkeeper to win the league. You can't win the league without having a top-class goalkeeper. United started to win the league when Schmeichel came in. Chelsea started winning it when Czech was bought. City started winning it when Ederson was bought. Alisson was one of the key components of winning the league when Liverpool won it, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? I think Manchester United can't win the league until we get a proper goalkeeper in. Now, we're not talking about going to try and win the league over the next... You never know. Maybe this year we bet in, and next year you could challenge for it, and maybe the year after, then 2028, you're winning it, which is the goal. But I don't think you can do it until you get a goalkeeper in. And I think getting Donnarumma in for 25 million euro, basically the best goalkeeper in Europe last season, getting him in for 25 million euro on 200 grand a week is good business in my eyes. I think it really is good business. The one thing I would say is that Chelsea being in for him as well means that they're just going to throw the kitchen sink at him. You know what I mean? They really will. And if I'm being completely honest about Donnarumma, I could see him going to Chelsea. I could, the money, the short-termness of it, the whole lot. I think if he comes to Manchester United, he will be our goalkeeper for a decade. He will. He 100% will. I mean, what age is he? He's not even in his mid-20s, is he? Oh, he is. He's 26 years of age. Yeah, I mean, you could easily get 6 or 7 years out of him. Easily. And I think Manchester United, if the money is right, will go for him. I think we will go for him. But the money has to be right. And Fabrizio Romano is saying it. If it's not this year, it'll be next year. But you've got to take into consideration that it is a World Cup year. Now, there's no doubts that... Is Donnarumma, is he... Have Italy qualified for the World Cup? I presume they have. But yeah, it's a World Cup year, and players are going to want to play this year and for the majority of the season to obviously make sure they're going into the World Cup, flying fit. I think if we got Donnarumma, lads, I think if we get Baleba and Donnarumma, and I said this last week, and I'm going to double down on it here. If we get Baleba and then move and get Donnarumma, I think we challenge for the league title this season. I really do. One game a week with a team of Baleba, Yoro, De Ligt, Martinez, Ahmad, Dorgu, Baleba, Bruno, Cunha and Buemo Sesko. We challenge for the league, lads. We challenge for the league. I genuinely believe it. Now, there's a lot of work to do between now and the end of the transfer window. If you're going to get Baleba, if you're going to get Donnarumma, that remains to be seen. But this goes back to what I've said about Ineos, really committing this summer and going, right, well, we've got opportunities here now. Let's take the opportunities when they fall to us. Baleba is an opportunity. Why wait 12 months? You know what I mean? If we can do it now, let's do it now and get sales. Similarly with Donnarumma. Donnarumma, 4 months ago, was, not even 4 months ago, 2 months ago, after playing in the European Cup final, winning it for the first time for PSG, he's never going to leave. Now all of a sudden opportunities are arising, and you should take them when they come. And I think Ineos are doing a really good job at attracting players to Manchester United without European football. It remains to be seen whether Donnarumma would be one of them players, because he could go to Chelsea and obviously have European football instantly. But there's something about Manchester United. As Fabrizio Romano said, don't underestimate Manchester United. Simple as that.